it's Hailey, and today I'm going to be doing my April wrap-up. So I'm actually filming this on April 22nd, but this video is going to be coming out either the day before I leave or the Thursday, like a couple days after I leave for Europe for a month. So I'm just calling it now, especially because tomorrow, like the day after I'm filming this, we are going to pick up my sister, and then it's just going to be crazy, like preparing for our trip to Europe for the entire week. So I'm not really thinking I'm going to end up reading anything more, but if I do, I will just include it in a May wrap-up, which I probably won't even have a May wrap-up anyways. But these are just the books that I have read from the beginning of April to April 22nd, so it is still an April wrap-up, it's just cut off a little bit early. Also, I don't actually have any reviews to link down below for this because I haven't filmed reviews in a while since I've been busy trying to pre-film all of my videos for May, so I just have put reviews on the back burner. So basically, when I get back from Europe, just anticipate a ton of reviews. So the first book that I read this month was Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This book is about two college roommates who become the best of friends, and they have this project where they are trying to find and see if there's a way to give themselves extraordinary abilities. So basically to see if they can become superheroes. And there is a ton of fallout after that project, let me tell ya. You think group projects are bad? This is like a group project gone terribly. Now, I did enjoy this book. It was recommended to me a lot, so my expectations were super high because I hadn't heard anything but amazing things about it. So I think because of that, I was let down a little bit. Also, the fact that it reminded me quite a bit of Victoria Schwab's other novel, This Savage Song, kind of let me down. Now, both books are really contemplating the difference between good and evil, and if there really is a big difference between the two, kind of blurring those lines between what we think is a really stark contrast between those two polar opposites. But I did enjoy that this one had a really cool anti-hero. It was just the fact that both of them were kind of probing at that difference between good and evil. It really made them remind me of each other, and a bit too much for my taste. I also did really enjoy the power element to this one. I thought that was really cool, but like I said, kind of reminded me a bit too much of each other. But that being said, I did still end up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. After that, I read Endgame by Samuel Beckett, which I read for my modern drama class. That was the last play that I had to read for that class, and I did not like it. Beckett is not for me. I think I gave that 1 or 2 stars. It was just no. Next, I picked up When Dimple Met Rashid by Sandhya Menon. This book is about two Indian American main characters whose parents have put them in an arranged marriage, and they end up meeting each other, and it's just such a funny fallout from that, and it's this really cute romance all about these characters, and it was really good. Now, the thing is, this book has been getting nothing but love, so my expectations were sky high going into it, and I think because of that, I was a little bit let down. It took me a little bit to really care about the relationship of the characters. I liked them separately. Specifically, Dimple was like the best. I loved Dimple so much, but I did find that it took me a little bit to really care for their relationship and want to see where it was going. But after I did end up really loving it. I also love the fact that it takes place in a coding camp. I thought that was so cool, and it was overall a really cute read, and I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I picked up Beauty Queens by Libba Bray, which was actually a reread for me. This is all about these beauty queens who crash land on this island, and it's crazy, so weird. I reread it for my Gal Pals class, which was all about women and friendship, so this book was perfect for it. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars once again because I did love it. I think it's an awesome feminist novel, and it was just a great last required reading. It was awesome. Next, to celebrate being done school, I picked up 13 Little Blue Envelopes by Maureen Johnson. This I picked up because I was getting myself really pumped up for my upcoming Europe trip, but I ended up not really liking this one. I thought I would because it's all about backpacking Europe, but I find good travel books in YA are kind of hard to find, and this one definitely wasn't one of my favorites. I ended up giving it a 2 out of 5 stars because I just really didn't care for the characters. I felt like the plot and the characters fell flat. They had so much potential, but the execution just was lacking, and I just didn't find myself caring for anything, so I just, yeah, it was just not good for me. Then after that, I ended up picking up Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor for the second time. I tried reading this a couple of months ago, but I ended up DNFing it, which I don't do very often, but I just wasn't enjoying it, and then I decided to listen to the audiobook this time around, especially because it was getting such rave reviews from everyone. I really wanted to love it, but I didn't. I still ended up giving this 2 out of 5 stars. I love Laini Taylor's writing, but the thing is she just uses so many words for something that she could say in so few words. It's very like Dickens, and it's good when it's a shorter novel, but for a big book like this book could honestly be 200 pages, and it's like 600, I feel like 600, 700. 500 maybe, I don't know, but it's just such a big book and it doesn't need to be. So the audiobook I was really loving in the beginning, but it just ended up dragging so much that I found myself not caring about the story, not really caring about the plot, anything, the characters. It fell really flat for me, unfortunately, so this just is not for me. After that, I picked up Everland by Wendy Spinelli. This is a Peter Pan retelling, and I was so excited about it because it's a Peter Pan retelling, and I love Peter Pan. And I didn't know going into it, but it's a Peter Pan retelling that's steampunk, and it's kind of a World War II-esque sort of thing that we have going on. So it was just such a cool setting to be in. There's this whole disease that has wiped out all the adults basically, so now it's all kids and there's few adults that survive, but then some of the kids are dying too. So it was just this crazy, really grotesque setting, but it was Peter Pan at the same time. So you have like your Wendy characters, you had all these characters from the original Peter Pan story that showed up in interesting ways, and I actually ended up really enjoying this. The writing was a bit juvenile, but I thought the story was really well done. The one thing I didn't really like is it's told in dual perspective with Captain Hook and the Wendy character, and the Captain Hook parts I could have done without because he's a very juvenile villain, and it was kind of just the Disney villain talking in here. So he's kind of a ridiculous villain, I feel like, and that's what I got from this. Very whiny, not much substance to him, not much backstory, so I was just kind of like meh. But after reading this one and enjoying it so much, I'm really looking forward to reading the next book in this series, which is an Alice in Wonderland retelling, so I'm so excited for that. I don't remember if I said the rating, but I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Next, I picked up Girl Man's Up by M.E. Girard. This is a book all about a butch lesbian in Canada, and it's kind of exploring gender identity through her life, and I thought it was such a great story. It was so well written. Pen was a protagonist that you just felt like you were right in her head, which was awesome. It was so authentic and raw, and Pen was an amazing character to have the perspective of, and I just thought it was such an honest story and so interesting. And if you're looking for something that's kind of exploring gender identity, I highly recommend this book because it did such a great job of that. So I ended up giving this book a 4 or a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I don't really remember. After that, I picked up First Life by Gina Showalter. This is all about Ten, who has been in an asylum for a few months, and she lives in a world where you have basically 2 lives, and in your first life, which is like your first life, you live in the normal world, but then in your second life you can choose between 2 different worlds. So she hasn't made a choice yet, and that is a really big problem because if she dies then she'll end up kind of in limbo, which is terrifying. So this book is kind of all about her inability to make that choice, which is where my problem really was with the story. The concept sounds amazing. I didn't describe it very well because there's a lot of things that are going on in it that I didn't really get to, but the concept is awesome. But then the beginning was great, and then it just went one-noted and became all about one thing, and it wasn't even the most interesting aspect of the story. So I didn't really like that. I did like the fact that it was a love triangle, but in a really different way, I felt like, or at least it kind of had that potential to be a love triangle, but at the same time I found a lot of it to be confusing. The world building was a little bit lacking. Basically, awesome concept, awesome bones to the story, but the execution just wasn't there for me. I just don't really like books that leave a lot of questions unanswered, and I felt like this one left a ton of questions unanswered, especially the main plot question that it focuses on, which was just annoying. So I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. And finally, the last book that I read this month, or this month so far, is History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. This is all about a boy who his ex-boyfriend and former best friend has just died, and it's all about him trying to come to terms with that because he really hadn't closed the door on their relationship. He always thought that that boy would be there for him to go back to, but now he's not, and he finds that the only person that he can turn to is the new boyfriend. I don't know how to describe that. Like, when they broke up and he moved away, he ended up getting a new boyfriend, so now the only person he can turn to is that new boyfriend. Did that make sense? I hope so. Adam Silvera is the author of More Happy Than Not, and I didn't like that book really at all. It just wasn't for me, but this book I loved. I thought it was so good. It had me on the verge of tears so often. Like, I was listening to the audiobook while I was at work and I was like, this is gonna make me cry, because the emotions were just so raw and real, and it was just all about kind of chronicling his grieving process and how he's trying to accept the death of someone that was so close to him, and he's trying to move on and discover himself as a person without this person in his life who used to always be there. It was just so heartbreaking and beautiful and so well done. It was amazing and I really loved it. So I ended up giving it a 5 out of 5 stars. So those are all of the books that I read in April, or at least so far. But like I said, I had to cut off April early because I'm busy. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have read any of these books, your thoughts on them, or let me know what you read in April. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!